know it may be hard to believe, but spring is coming soon. That means the fresh smell of bottom paint, engine oil, and boat wax. Well, I've been sailing since October 2012. Well, in October I began working on a 30-foot sailboat, a 1975 Islander. Most people would consider this to be kind of a project boat. I've been on the hard for 12 years, had some hull and topside fiberglass damage, and due to that damage the interior sustained some major damage from mold, mildew, wood damage, and everyone was telling me it'd take at least a year to get this boat in seaworthy condition. Well, I was not deterred. I had a plan in my alleged mind that I could get this boat in the water in 2 to 3 weeks and begin sailing. I'd do the rest of the fix-up as I sailed. Makes sense to me. Well, I got a lot of great advice from Ed, and I tell you, I needed it. Well, the sails and the engine were in good condition, and the basic boat was in good condition. The engine was almost brand new. In 2000, the previous owner had put a 20 horsepower diesel engine in, and several months later traded the boat off for a bigger boat. Shortly after that, the boat was in a storm and sustained some damage, and I won't go through all the other things that happened that caused this boat to be a project boat. Well, one of the key factors here was that I could afford this boat. It took me 3 weeks to clean out all that was left behind, by the previous owner. Damaged wood, the headliner, mold, mildew, fix the hull, the top side, get the engine running, put the sails up, and yes, the boat was in seaworthy condition and in the water in 3 weeks. Now I began short day trips to get the practice of sailing. Now I do have 15 years of experience in power boating, so this was a bit of a learning curve. And I'm more of a motor sailor at this point, but I'm getting much better at sailing. Then I took most of December and January off from sailing. Then in mid-January, though, I did come back and I started sailing in earnest on the Chesapeake Bay out of Rock Hall, Maryland. Now I installed a fish finder for my depth sounder, and that worked pretty good. I had a handheld VHF. My GPS was a old Lowrance air map that I used when I flew, and it had the basic marine charts in it, with most of the buoys plotted, but no depth lines. So it was good, but not great. Now then it took me the better part of 6 months to rebed all the bolts, or some of the bolts, the ports, and other areas to be fixed up so that when it rained, it wasn't like a shower in there. And I also installed a freshwater pump, so I had pressure water system. Now this boat has really proven to be seaworthy, at least on the Chesapeake Bay. And I'm not a fair weather sailor, so most of the time when I'm out there it's like small craft advisories. Now on one occasion I thought I could outrun a storm. Not in a sailboat. I got caught out in 35, 40 mile an hour gusts, 4 to 6 foot waves, 15 hours on the water by myself. Well, some of the other upgrades I did and improvements I made on this in 2013 were I did add a fixed mount ICOM VHF radio, very nice. State-of-the-art standard horizon GPS chart plotter and a through-hole depth sounder. I still have the fish finder too. A Ritchie compass, and this was really major because the old compass was barely readable. I added a Fortress anchor with new chain and rope, or rode. On the interior I put plastique sole in the cabin, made it look nice. And then I put plastic in the cockpit. These were cosmetic things, but it made me feel better. I set up some new riggings for the main halyard so I didn't have to go forward to hoist and lower the main sail. Rewired some of the running lights. I added a second shore power 30 amp system with a panel from Paneltronics. I installed two 110 outlets for all the other things that I had. Took out the old stove and put in a temporary electric hot plate. And of course the ongoing sanding, varnishing, throughout the whole boat, and still fixing up little leaks here and there. My plan for 2014 is already behind schedule, due to the weather. And I hope to start sailing in April. March is going to be pretty busy with several other projects. I'm installing a new LPG stove from Seaward by Whale. I'm putting in a Standard Horizon AIS enabled VHF. I'm updating the DC panel with another Paneltronics panel, because of all the new things that I'm adding. And of course, I got a laundry list of things I'd like to add. I'd like to put in 2 self-trailing winches for the jib. That'd make sailing a little bit easier on me. A new track system for the main so it goes up and down easier. A new autopilot for the tiller. Hot water heater, and convert my ice box to a refrigerator, with AC/DC. Fix the Dodger, it needs a little bit of help. Put in some new seating, and I'd kind of like to add an HVAC unit. Well, as you can see, this is an ongoing project. And at the Sailing Emporium, the yard foreman, Ed, was very helpful. Thank goodness. I'm a true novice. The key thing here is that you don't have to have the boat in pristine condition to enjoy the benefits of sailing. Now, the boat's got to be seaworthy, and it's got to meet the Coast Guard regulations. You don't want to go out there and get in trouble, physically and legally. Now, I know several people who've gotten into this trap of working on the boat, not sailing. They've been doing it for years. But if you like working on a boat, hey, that's great. It's okay if that's what you want. But if you want to get the boat, get it ready to go sailing, and start sailing, put together a plan. Now, stuff happens. Plans have got to be a little flexible. But if you don't have a plan together, you're going to be years, if ever, getting out on the water. There's a lot of good used boats out there. You don't have to do as much work as I did on this one. There's a lot out there that don't need as much work. I didn't mind doing the work, and I could afford it a little bit at a time. So get out there, have fun, enjoy the water, and happy and safe boating to you, your family, and friends. And I hope you'll stay tuned to see how my new improvements are improving the boat.